Senator Johnson, thank you for joining us with this breaking news. You have published an op-ed on the X platform last night, and I believe you said it already has well over 600,000 views, and it's about government censorship of what the real effects of the COVID shots were. Would you tell us more about it?
Correct. Well, government and media censorship. So maybe a lot of your listeners are aware of the fact that on April 29th of this year, I released a report and held a hearing on what we uncovered with the documents we got because of Bobby Kennedy's commitment to radical transparency. Now, a lot of people in HHS, FDA, CDC did not have that commitment, okay? But Bobby finally said, no, give them information. We got 11 million pages. Now, they weren't necessarily being cooperative that way. That's just a big old data dump. Try and deal with that. Well, good thing I've got excellent staff that know how to figure out how to find needles in haystacks. So out of that 11 million pages, one of the scandals we've uncovered, I think right now the biggest one, is the fact that on March 1st of 2021, Peter Marks, who's head of CBER, that's the division within FDA that approves vaccines and then supposed to surveil for safety signals, was warned by Dr. Anna Scharsman. She's the data mining expert working with the inventor of the algorithm that worked for Oracle that analyzes their vaccine adverse event reporting system, VAERS. He was warned that that algorithm was going to hide and mask safety signals. They never really dealt with anything where you had two similar injections with this volume of deaths and adverse events. So he was warned, this algorithm is invalid. It's going to hide what we were looking for here. So they'd already developed a new algorithm. 26 days later, they did a data run using that new algorithm. It showed 49 cases of extreme masking with the old algorithm and 25 safety signals, including sudden cardiac death, pulmonary infarction, Bell's palsy, other types of strokes. I list more in my op-ed. Instead of pinning a badge on her chest and saying, thank you, we wouldn't have been able to warn the public were it not for your extraordinary efforts here. No, they shunted her off to the side. They told her to cease and desist. They continued to use the algorithm that they knew was hiding and masking safety signals. She was a pretty, she kept working at it, right? And so what she did is she ran data for the next 3 months, continued to show additional safety signals, and they ignored them. They use that algorithm so they go to the American public and lie bold-faced and saying, well, we're just not seeing safety signals. They also, of course, continue to use that algorithm, and the excuse is that we have to be consistent. We can't change our analytic techniques in the midst of a pandemic. So anyway, so I published that study, held the hearing, and it's been radio silence ever since, except for alternate news media, different types of podcasts and stuff, talk radio. The legacy broadcast media, they will not have me on. Major Garrett did have me on CBS for a streaming interview, but that's it. Fox News, Fox Businesses have had their hosts interview me on this, but I was on with Jake Tapper. And I said, Jake, you ought to read my report. I'm texting to you right now. Read this report, have me back on and talk about that. And he kind of complained, well, you can't do it right now. I don't expect to do it right now. Just read the report, have me back on. I texted him, this has been a couple of weeks now. I texted him and said, hey, you're going to have me on? He said, well, I turn that over to our health reporters. So again, it's been radio silence on NBC, ABC, PBS, CNN, MSN Now. And I decided to write an op-ed and offered it to the Wall Street Journal. They turned me down with a couple of days. New York Times turned me down within hours. Washington Post didn't respond. USA Today hasn't really responded. Even Fox Digital turned me down. So I said, okay, I'm going to use, and thank God for Elon Musk for buying X and preserving freedom of speech on the internet. I decided to post it on X. And I appreciate the fact that a lot of people are reposting this. Overnight now, it's gotten about 652,000 views the way I've looked at. Hopefully Elon will pick up on this because I could use his platform to spread the news. But that's where we're up. I cannot get this out into the legacy media, so more and more people can actually understand what our government did to us, the lies they told. And why do I consider this the biggest government scandal of my lifetime? Somebody compared it to Watergate. Is it worse than Watergate? Wait, did anybody die in Watergate? After March of 2021, look at how many millions of people experienced adverse events. Look at how many tens of thousands, at least more, died from that injection. The children that died. I mean, FDA has looked at that. They said 10. Now they've downgraded that to 7 because the same people who tried to hide that are writing the report to keep downgrading that, to minimize that. But Mary, put yourself in the position of a parent who believed the lies, who trusted government, who trusted President Biden saying, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Get your child vaccinated so they don't infect your parent or their grandparent, right? Of course, now we know it doesn't prevent transmission. So, I mean, all the lies told. But imagine being a parent who believed those lies, did what they thought was a responsible thing, had their child vaccinated, and that child never wakes up. Or, like Maddie DeGarry, that child is permanently disabled. Hopefully not permanently, but severely disabled right now, okay? That is why this is the biggest scandal. Millions of lives were impacted, and it's still being covered up. And why am I such a bulldog on this? Because, like you, I've met the injection injured. I've met Ernest Ramirez, whose son, his best friend, died. Okay, these people. When I first got in contact with them in June of 2021, when we held that first event with the injection injured with Bree Dresden, Maddie DeGarry, Cheryl Rutgers, all they wanted was to be seen, heard, and believed so they could get treatment. Another little sub-scandal within this, also in March of 2021, within NIH, they had set up a team that were diagnosing and treating people with severe injection injury. So they were acknowledging it. They told those 23 people they treated, though, don't talk about it. Let us complete our work. Let us complete our studies so we can go with the best information in the medical community so they can use that to treat other people, right? The problem is they never published a study forcing the injection injured in 2022 to start going public. Then they finally published it on a preprint server, about a one-page little report, told no one, just like the Grinch, the Grinch Stole Christmas, solve world hunger, tell no one. Part of that analysis was that early intervention and treatment was crucial to effectively treat the injection injured. How can you intervene early if you're a doctor and you don't even know, if the federal health agencies won't even acknowledge these injuries? One other filibuster point here. In 2021, CDC apparently published a study or a paper or a report that said these neurological symptoms, like Bree Dresden was experiencing, their anxiety. It's all in your head. You're paralyzed. You have a eating tube in your stomach, but it's all in your head. So you can understand that the vaccine injured, the injection injured right now, I just met with them. They are psychologically at a low point. There were suicides. There always have been suicides. Things are unbearable. But when Facebook shut down their groups after my press conference in June, they had suicides because they lost contact with their support groups. Suicides are ticking up again. They've been battling this for 5 years. They don't even have an ICD code. So doctors can't charge for treating them. Again, they haven't been seen. They haven't been heard. They haven't been believed. That's why I'm going to be relentless on this. I'm not going to give up until those people are seen, heard, and believed, and treatments available, and the federal government acknowledges what they did to this country, to the world. Remember, the world relied on the lies of Anthony Fauci and Peter Marks and others.
Well, we're so grateful to you, Senator, and we know that you're not going to give up, and we're not going to give up either. And the world needs to know the truth always about everything, but certainly about this life and death matter. But why the censorship? Why now? It's 5 years later. Can't the mainstream media deal with this? Can't the Senate and the House deal with reality? Why? We need to
Put,
understand that too.
put yourself in the position of somebody who approved these injections or prescribed them or mandated them or coerced somebody or convinced somebody to get them. Nobody had did that, and most people did. The federal health agencies did, most doctors, or, hospitals, the news media, the social media. I mean, they all push these jabs. I mean, Stephen Colbert with the syringes dancing behind him, right? So do you want to admit that something you pushed, that you coerced or you mandated, killed somebody or a lot of people or permanently disabled a lot of people? So nobody wants to admit it. And every day they lie, every day they don't admit it, it's going to make it more
Much
difficult for
worse.
them to finally admit it, right? I mean, lies compound, it's just a compounding process here. So I think that's the main reason. They simply don't want to admit it. And in case of Peter Marks, I mean, the people who actually approved this, I mean, they had to be freaking out. I mean, you were watching VAERS. You saw, I mean, VAERS was deluged with adverse event reports early on in this campaign. That they had to be freaking out, but then all of a sudden, they found out their algorithm was going to hide the safety signals. So that's why they shunned her off to the side. They said, we don't want to see your data. We didn't ask you to do this. Cease and desist. We want to cling to this algorithm so we can go lie to the American public and say, but we're just not seeing safety signals. We're starting to interview these people. They continue to this date. We weren't seeing safety signals. This is hard. This is hard to sift through all the data. It's really hard to make that definitive, judgment call. Did this really? Again, they're looking for definitive proof, knowing they'll never get definitive. They should have been erring on the side of caution, right? Looking for safety signals, alerting doctors, alerting the public, giving people the information so they had informed consent. Instead, they hid behind that algorithm, lied to the American public, and required definitive proof before they'd open up their mouth.
Senator, can I just say that many of the people who founded Children's Health Defense and who work here with me at Children's Health Defense, myself included, we are parents of vaccine injured adult children and young children. We are parents who listened to government lies, and our children suffered the consequences. And I can say, as one of those parents, while it is incredibly painful to recognize you did something wrong, if you listen to a lie and you thought it was the truth, you're not culpable, but you're culpable if you cover up. If you don't acknowledge the truth, you can't help your child. You can't help them.
I don't want to hear you even think that you did something wrong, or any of those parents. They didn't do. Who did something wrong were Peter Marks and the people that lied. Not the parents. I mean, I've got the greatest sympathy for the parents. You did nothing wrong. You did what you thought right. I mean, Bree Dressen, she subjected herself to the trial. Stephanie DeGarry subjected, had her child do they thought they were doing the right thing for society because they were told that was the responsible thing to do. Again, that is what is so despicable about what Peter Marks and these people did. The Anthony Fauci of the world, the Francis Collins, the Walensky's. I mean, all these people that were seeing these things. And again, I have evidence now. They saw this. They were made aware of this, and they lied. That is what is so despicable, and what's so despicable about the legacy media not reporting on this, not covering the story, not covering the scandal.
Right. Right. I guess it was the New York Times that's very proud that it covered Watergate, but here they are afraid to cover the COVID scandal that it is, which is also really disappointing. Say it again.
They were complicit in it.
They are complicit.
That's the problem. They are all complicit in it.
Yeah. Anything else you want to tell our viewers?
No, I think I pretty well covered it. And again, thank you for all the work you've been doing. I mean, for years. And again, let me say again, if you're a parent, you did nothing wrong. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
And I just want to say that knowing the truth really frees you to do the right thing and to get treatment. If you are suffering from a COVID injury, you need to get help, and you need to start with the truth. We need to start with the reality, right? And basically, we're still masking reality right now, which is what's just so terrifying, really, because we could know so much more if we were to deal with reality.
And understanding that the injection injured are not being treated.
Yeah, it's awful.
because federal officials and the medical establishment are not acknowledging the truth. It just compounds
Right,
the despicable nature of what's happened here.
right. Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.